Well, it's time to go to locals again. However, this time there will be some special rules in place, since instead of one, we will be using 2 decks. And to win a match, you have to win a game with both decks, meaning when you win with one deck, you have to switch it for the other. And also you can only share one playset of a card between the decks, so you can't max out on a generic staple in both of them. But that wouldn't be a problem for me because I picked 2 decks that don't share a single card, kinda. Anyway, because I enjoy all of the Digimon Liberator decks, and I'm having fun reading the webcomic as well, where my favorite part is the rivalry between Arisa and Violet, who are having a heated battle in the comic at the moment, so I decided to settle that rivalry in my own way, and I brought Violet's Necromon and Arisa's puppet deck to the locals, to see which one would have the better win rate. And I already made deck profiles for both of those decks, however I did do some minor changes, mostly to the Necromon deck. Since we've gotten a new Ghostmon in a later set, I put in 4 copies of it in the deck, taking out 2 copies of Gazimon and 2 copies of Candlemon, and I also swapped one Psychmon for the Memory Blocker Gazimon. As for the puppet deck, I took out one Vortex Resonance and put it in the Necromon deck, since it's more beneficial there and I only have 2 copies of it. And I replaced it with the card Digimon Liberator, which is pretty similar to it. Perhaps even more beneficial since it can play your tamers, which are a crucial part of the deck. And with that being said, let's see how it went and settle this rivalry once and for all. The first round was against Omnimon DNA, and I decided to start the match with Necromon, as I did most of the matches. And it didn't look good for my opponent, because he just passed his first turn without doing anything. So I tried to capitalize on it, and set up and find all the pieces I was missing, digging deeper into my deck by playing Analog Youths, and setting up a Violet. And the following turn also didn't look that good for my opponent because he just evolved into Agumon and passed the turn. So that gave me more chances to dig into my deck. I also tried to knock out one of his security cards, just to have one less to worry about. And the first check was Met and Tie, which helped my opponent greatly later on in the game. So it wasn't really a good security check, for me at least. And as the game went on, my opponent picked up some speed, now playing his level 6 Digimon, which allowed him to evolve his level 3s into other level 6 Digimon, which proved to be a problem for me, because Metangarurumon bypasses the on-deletion effects of my Digimon by returning them to the hand, so that threw a wrench in my plans. And when I eventually got to Necromon, he already had an established board, and I could only delete a level 3 Digimon with Necromon's effect. Then when I used Execute to attack his security, he blessed DNA Digivolve into Omnimon, which returned my Necromon to the bottom of the deck, again bypassing any on-deletion effects. And then it was just a hop, skip and a jump until he won the first round. The next round I stuck with Necromon, and my opponent played Virus Imperium Drummon. And this time I also had a good start, evolving a Rookie in the raising area and playing a memory setting Violet on my first turn. And my opponent also evolved into a Wormmon in his raising area, and played 2 Searchers, which both got him a card in the hand and one in the trash. And after that I continued setting up some more, searching for missing pieces and giving only one memory to my opponent, who on the next turn attacked my security with his Wormmons. One got deleted and the other one checked an Analog Youth, which also helped me. Not because it searched something good, in fact I found 2 other Analog Youths from it, but just having it on the field helped. And my opponent played his own Analog Youth and passed it over to me, and on the next turn I went all in. First I attacked with my Ghostmon, which got deleted, then I evolved into Phantomon, and with Vortex Resonance I found Necromon in my deck and evolved Phantomon in it, which deleted the other Wormmon and attacked with Execute. From there I could use all of my own deletion effects, still continuing my turn because of all the memory gain, and after setting up my board I only gave one memory to my opponent. He then moved his Wormmon to the battle area, evolved into Shadramon for one less cost, so his turn still didn't end, and it brought back the Searcher Wormmon from the trash, which he then evolved into X-Vemon, and he didn't have anything to DNA Digivolve into, so he passed his turn. And from there I had everything I needed to win, so we went to game 3. So that's 1 loss and 1 win for Necromon. Now let's see how the puppets will fare. And it seems my opponent bricked, since instead of evolving, he played the Searcher Wormmon, which hit nothing. I on the other hand evolved into a level 3 in the raising area, and I played my Searcher Shumon, which got me both a Cendrillmon and an Arisa. and I played Fabled Wounds, which played an Arisa from my hand. And on his turn, my opponent evolved up to Cendrillmon, which could then attack, and it had 12,000 DP, and it checked a Kaguyamon who also has 12,000 DP, so it got deleted. Boy, that was rough. And so, with my opponent's board being empty now, I decided to go all in. I evolved my Shumon into Shushumon, then into Karakuramon, which evolved into Cendrillmon for free by deleting my other Shumon. It played a token with its when Digivolving effect, and I attacked my opponent's security with Overclock, deleting the token, and I got to play another one when this one got deleted. And the check was a big Digimon, but I had minus DP effects for it, so my Cendrillmon survived. And on his next turn, my opponent just played another Cendrillmon, giving me a bunch of memory, so I played some more Tamers. I attacked with Cendrillmon using Overclock by deleting my token, and played another one after it, which triggered my Arisa to give it Rush. And with Fabled Wounds delay effect, I wound Cendrillmon into Nyabutmon, which reduced the DP of Cendrillmon to 0, so it was deleted. And from there my opponent decided to scoop it up since there was nothing he could do. So that's one win for Puppets as well. Next match I also started with Necromon, and my opponent was on DM version 2 Justimon. And I'll be honest, I have no idea what any of those cards do, so I don't really have much to say about this match. Let's just say it started off good for me. I managed to clear my opponent's security pretty early on, while still having all of my security, but then I kinda ran out of gas and my opponent managed to set up everything he needed, went into Justimon and Justimon X Antibody, which could unsuspend, and had jamming and blocker, or redirect the attack, I don't know. So he also managed to clear my security pretty fast, so I tried to wall up with Apparition Legion to get myself some blockers, but ultimately it wasn't enough, so the round went to my opponent. Next round I stuck with Necromon and my opponent switched to a Galaxy deck. This round I had a pretty good opening hand. I managed to set up a Rookie in my raising area and Wisdom Training, and my opponent also evolved in the raising area and played a Searcher Rookie, giving me 1 memory and adding himself 2 cards from it. Next turn I also gave him 1 memory by evolving into Ghostmon, which played Violet from my hand because I had no Tamers. After which my opponent played a Memory Setter Tamer, and I didn't like him having both it and a Digimon on the field with another one coming next turn, so I played an Analog Youth, evolved Ghostmon into Phantommon, which with Execute attacked his Digimon, and by resolving all the on-deletion effects, the memory was still on my side. I played a Ghostmon from trash, which searched me 1 card and put a Chimeramon at the bottom of my deck. Whew, feels bad. I evolved it into Bakemon with Violet for free. I returned Phantommon from my trash to the hand, evolved into another Bakemon in the raising area, and played the Memory Blocker Gazimon, so my opponent couldn't capitalize on his deck's main gimmick. And boy, that Gazimon sure came in clutch, because my opponent only went up to level 5 Digimon before passing it to me. Sure, one of my Digimon couldn't suspend because of it, but it was no biggie, because from there I pretty much controlled the pace of the game, seeing as my opponent couldn't get memory with his Digimon's effects, and because of that couldn't extend his plays, while I just continued going into Necromon, which cleared my opponent's security, and eventually attacking for game. So it's another win for Necromon. So I got the chance to play the Puppet deck as well in round 3, which for some reason didn't record, but it ended in a tie because the first round took a while, and I was in a pretty good position the entire game, so I think I would have won, but alas. Next match I again started with Necromon and my opponent was on Diaboromon. And the game started pretty good for me. I managed to set up pretty much everything I needed, while my opponent only played Tamers and Memory Boost with having 1 Digimon in the raising area, but then it all came tumbling down in 1 turn. This one to be specific. I attacked my opponent's security with both Ghostmons, checking a Keramon, and Black Scramble, which played the Keramon back. I also attacked with Bakemon, which got deleted in the security check, and then without knowing what the Keramon does, I wound my other Bakemon into Phantommon, which triggered Keramon's effect to evolve into Infermon from the hand, which then de-digivolved my Phantommon. And since the memory was now on my opponent's side, I couldn't use Execute anymore. It was over to my opponent, who proceeded to evolve into Diaboromon and play a bunch of tokens, and he cleared out some of my security, so I didn't have much left. And then on the next turn I tried building up a stack in my raising area, but by that point my opponent had too many tokens, and I had no other Digimon on the field, so no blocker. I did get one eventually, when he checked Apparition Legion, which played Metal Phantomon from my trash, but it just wasn't enough. So we went to game 2, where I stuck with Necromon, and my opponent was on Lord Nightmon X Antibody. This was a pretty back and forth game, with both me and my opponent setting up and exchanging some blows here and there, playing a bunch of Digimon from your trash, evolving them with some effects and so forth. But unfortunately, eventually I ran out of steam. And the nail in my coffin was when my opponent evolved his Lord Nightmon into Shine Greymon Ruin mode. So since I only had a weak Digimon in my raising area and one security left, and nothing really in my hand that could turn the tide even if I waited a turn, I decided to scoop it up. So that's another loss for Necromon and the first match loss of the day. And for the final match, I decided to play the first round with puppets this time, seeing as I didn't get any showcase the last match, to see if this would help settle the result between Violet and Arisa. And my opponent was on Cendrillmon. My opponent went first and simply evolved Syakamon in the raising area and passed turn not to give me too much memory. And to start off I also evolved into raising area and played the Searcher Shumon, which got me both a Tamer and a Digimon. Next I played Mirai, with which I also got myself another Digimon, and I passed it to my opponent with 3 memory. She moved Syakamon to the battle area and attacked my security with it, hitting a Kaguyamon, again the first card in the security, and with its own deletion effects she drew some cards and trashed some cards as well. Then she played the DM Metal Tyrannomon, which can reduce its play cost, and also delete my Shumon, so I didn't get much memory from it. For a little while after I was trying to establish as many tamers on the field as possible, while my opponent evolved into Ukomon in the raising area and played Supreme Connection to search some cyborgs or machines and to put one in the trash, while next turn I moved my Shumon to the battle area, played a Pawn Chessmon, and suspended my Arisa to draw a card, then I discarded one card and drew 2 cards with Pawn Chessmon's effect, and played Fabled Wounds which played me another Arisa. Next turn my opponent searched something with Ukomon, hatched another egg, digivolved it into a Syakomon, and swung in my security, first with Ukomon, which checked Digimon Liberator, with which I added a Mirai to my hand and then played it at no cost, which then also got to search me another Digimon, and evolved Metal Tyrannomon into Cendrillmon, which put some sources from the trash under it, deleted all my Digimon, then with Ultimate Connection she trashed a cyborg from her hand to draw a card and gain 2 memory. And she did it again. Next she swung into my security with Cendrillmon, checking another Mirai which got played and searched me another Digimon, and by deleting Ukomon she unsuspended Cendrillmon, which goes for another check. And finally she played another Supreme Connection. So yeah, things aren't looking very good for me. So let's see how I turn it around. First, at the start of my main phase, I use Arisa's effect to put it on the bottom of my deck and play a promo Arisa from my hand. But I forgot the other part of the effect that says that I can play a Shumon from my trash if I don't have any Digimon on the field. Oh well, anyway I play a Searcher Shumon from my hand with the other Arisa's effect, which gets me 2 cards including a Kaguyamon. I evolve another Shumon in the raising area, next I evolve my Shumon in the battle area into Shushumon, and suspend the promo Arisa to gain back 1 memory so it's still my turn. Next I use Mirai's effect, putting it at the bottom of my deck, and playing a Pawn Chessmon for no cost, which trashes a card in my hand to draw 2 cards. And since I played a Puppet Digimon, I suspend Arisa to draw a card, and use the delay effect of Fabled Wounds to digivolve Shushumon into Karakuramon. Then I use another Mirai to play another Searcher Shumon from my hand, which gets me 2 cards again. Feels nice. And with Karakuramon's effect, I delete Shumon to evolve it into Cendrillmon, for free, which plays a token. And finally I use Yellow Scramble to evolve Cendrillmon into Nyabutmon for 1 memory, which plays another puppet from my hand and gives minus 12,000 DP to Cendrillmon, which is enough to get it to 0 and delete it. And I use Overclock to attack the security with Nyabutmon, checking a card and playing another puppet Digimon from my hand with its effect. Next turn my opponent plays a Metal Greymon with Supreme Connection, which deletes my token, and with Nyabutmon's effect I play another Digimon from my hand and reduce its DP to 0. So she does it again, but this time the memory passes over to me and it's my turn. And on my turn I move Shumon to the battle area, evolve it all the way out to Kaguyamon, play some Digimon with my effects, swing into my opponent's security with Kaguyamon and Nyabutmon who have alliance, so they check 2 security each, and I play something and finish the game by attacking with Overclock directly. Yeah, talk about turntables, am I right? So that's another win for puppets. Next is Necromon's turn, and my opponent remains on Cendrillmon. And honestly this wasn't really much of a game, because for the whole game I didn't manage to get to Necromon once, just couldn't manage to find it. And my opponent just whittled my security down with Tapirmon of all things, since it either checked Tamers, options or Digimon that were too weak to delete it. She also de-Digimon my Digimon so they couldn't use their own deletion inherited effects. And when Cendrillmon came down it was GG. So that's a loss for Necromon. Let's see if he can redeem itself. This time against Dynamon. And yeah, this game went much better than the last one. I managed to set up all of my tamers pretty early on, one copy of each, and choking my opponent at one memory so she had to use her memory boosts, while also keeping her Digimon in the raising area so as to not get deleted. So I was free to whittle down her security, and build up a nice board presence. I also played a Gazimon so she couldn't get memory with her memory boosts and her Digimon's effects. She did eventually get to Metal Tyrannomon X, which got rid of my biggest Digimon, and then down came Crimson Blaze, which wiped out all of my Digimon. But I did have one still in my raising area, so the next turn I moved it to the battle area, evolved it all the way up to Necromon, which deleted Metal Tyrannomon, cleared out all of my opponent's security, but I couldn't play any Digimon with its own deletion effects. So I had to wait another turn before the game is finished, but right then time was called so it ended up in another draw. Man, so close. So yeah, when all is said and done, it looks like puppets still have the better win-to-loss ratio than Necromon, just like in the comics. But yeah, it was pretty fun having a locals like this where you can use more than one deck. I hope we have another one like this again. And I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you next time. Bye!